For gosh, over a century, banking has been built on a pretty simple idea, a central ledger. A secure database of who owns what, with regulators like the Office of the Comptroller of the Currency, the OCC, watching over it. But that central ledger, it's being completely rewritten. So let's dive into this fundamental shift and see how the very architecture of finance is changing right under our noses.
I mean, think about it. It's not about a physical branch anymore or some vault where all the records are kept. That entire concept, well, it's pretty much becoming a digital ghost.
Today, banking is this distributed, data-driven platform. It's all powered by APIs, cloud stacks, and complex algorithms. And for a regulator like the OCC, this isn't just some new chapter. It's like they're trying to regulate a completely different language. So who's actually writing the code for this new platform? Well, it's a whole new class of digital challengers. And they aren't just building new companies, no, they're building entirely new databases of financial activity. Okay, what's so wild about this is that each one of these players represents a new and often totally separate source of financial data. Think about it for a second. You've got fintechs creating their own loan books completely outside of traditional banks. Tech giants are embedding payment data right into their own ecosystems. And of course, crypto firms are literally building brand new ledgers from scratch. Each one is its own little universe of financial data with its own rules. So for the OCC, the challenge becomes pretty obvious. How on earth do you supervise a database that isn't in one place anymore? To meet a challenge like this, the OCC isn't just, sitting on the sidelines watching. It's actively developing a new set of tools, a new command line, if you will, to actually interact with this rapidly evolving financial operating system. Let's walk through this toolkit and see how it all fits together. First, they're engaging directly with the innovators themselves through their Office of Innovation, trying to understand the tech before it becomes a huge market force. They're also issuing these things called interpretive letters, basically to clarify how century-old rules apply to brand new assets, like crypto. Then they're updating the rules for third-party risk, because let's face it, in this new world, your bank is only as secure as its fintech partners. And crucially, they're rethinking the very nature of what a bank charter even is. And that brings us to this, the Special Purpose Charter. This is a really big one. This is the OCC's proposal to create a whole new type of entry in the national banking ledger, specifically for these tech-first companies. The idea is to bring them directly under federal oversight, which would standardize the rules of the road for fintechs operating all across the country. But you know how it goes. With any new, complex system comes a whole new class of bugs and vulnerabilities. In this digital world, the risks aren't locked away in a vault. They're buried deep inside the lines of code and the logic of the algorithms.
So what are we really talking about here? What are the biggest security flaws and ethical bugs that regulators are desperately trying to patch before they crash the entire system?
This slide really lays out the new landscape of risk, and it is a minefield. First up, consumer protection. How do you make sure people are treated fairly when you might not ever speak to a human loan officer? Then you've got algorithmic bias. If an AI is making credit decisions using flawed data, how can we possibly audit its logic to make sure it isn't discriminating? And what about just keeping the lights on? When your bank is built entirely on a cloud server, a single software bug or a hack could have massive system-wide consequences. Believe me, these are the kinds of complex questions keeping regulators up at night. But even as the technology goes through this absolutely radical transformation, it's so important to remember that the core mission of a regulator like the OCC hasn't really changed at all. It's always been about ensuring the safety, the soundness, and the fairness of the financial system. And as you can see from this timeline, this isn't some sudden panic. It's been a steady, deliberate evolution. They started around 2016 with those innovation initiatives, then moved to specific guidance on crypto, and now the focus is shifting very intently on the huge implications of AI. The OCC is adapting its oversight in pretty much real time.
So the form of the bank charter, that might change. The nature of the risks, they will absolutely shift. But that fundamental mission, to protect the integrity of the financial database and the people who depend on it, that endures.
Because ultimately, every new app, every slick algorithm, every seamless transaction, it's all just the front end. Behind it all lies the real story, a database, a ledger of rules, responsibilities, and results. And the history of banking, really, is just the story of who gets to write to that database and who makes sure it stays secure.